Worldwide movement, peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq hollering at you one more again. All right, well, man. First of all, thank you all. I love you. I appreciate you checking in on me. And man, another beautiful, outstanding day, right? Just absolutely wonderful as the seasons start to change and we move into spring, right? Which is beautiful right now and very apropos, if you will, as we are changing cycles on this planet, right? And entering in and establishing our new paradigm, right? Our new high vibrational frequency paradigm. And that's a beautiful thing, right? And it's a beautiful day exhibiting that, right? Exhibiting that transition of the seasons as we transition into this new paradigm. So, yeah, beautiful day. And I thought it would be a great day to talk quickly about this subject, which is the beauty of oneness, the reward of a spiritual journey. All right. So, you know, I've talked on previous videos about how there are so many of us going through our own spiritual awakening or spiritual journey, right? And that's a beautiful thing, as it is giving us all the means to be on the path of attaining our best selves, even as that changes for each of us, right? We have new highs, new zeniths we can attain. And that's a beautiful thing in itself. So, the beauty of oneness, I would say in a nutshell, is the absence of separation mentality, right? It is truly being and feeling at one with all of existence, right? It's one thing to understand intellectually that everything that exists is energy, and without question that energy all emits from the same source. So truly, you can understand intellectually that we are all one. And I think that's an important step in any of our spiritual journey, getting us to a point of oneness with all things, right? To understand that, you know, if you need to wrap your head around it scientifically, all that evidence is there for you. And there's a path to uncovering that, right? That is a very vital and important part of your spiritual journey that we all individually go on. And in that, you know, we're not all going to obviously have the same path, and we're not going to obviously utilize the same exact means of sort of catapulting ourselves forward in that evolutionary process. But doesn't mean that we can't help one another, right, in that process. And that's why I think it is important for us to share each of us to share our spiritual journey, or as much of it as possible, because there is a lot to be said for shared experience. There's a lot to be said for feeling like someone else is able to relate to what you're going through, right? Which is one of the beautiful benefits I think we have when we use these social platforms in a positive, high vibrational frequency manner, right? They're all tools, though some ill-constructed, right, and ill-intended in their design, doesn't mean that we have to make the choice to be complicit on our end of it, right? We can use all this as a means of aiding one another. And I say that to say that that part of it, the intellectual part of it, can be an arduous task. It can be a part of the journey that is requiring of a lot of work, right? To do independent and free-thinking research sometimes requires time, attention, and literally you using your intellectual capacity, you using your brain to make sense of some things that were in the old paradigm hidden from you, right? In a way that makes it very difficult for you to connect the dots, right? And the biggest parts of that have been hidden from the masses is knowledge of self and understanding the science behind your oneness with everything in the universe, right? Everything in existence is a better way to say it. We live in a multiverse beyond our comprehension, currently, anyway. But yeah, it's important for us to understand that energetically, it is scientifically very verifiable in a number of ways to understand that we all are the same energy and emit from the same source. And thus, at least on an energetic level, we are, in fact, one, right? And then when you understand that everything is energy in different forms, then anything beyond that is ultimately a moot point anyway. We are, in fact, one. Many different expressions of that, and it's important for us to have that complex individuality, right? That's beautiful. We need to all be different expressions. And the more the merrier, right? Life is meant to be intricate and multifaceted, right? And it most certainly is. The more and more you observe it, the more you understand that. And that's another beautiful aspect of oneness. Just observing other aspects of life, other creations, right? You can uncover and learn a lot about yourself, and all of us can learn more about our existence here on this planet, and more about ourselves existentially, right? So, yeah, it's a beautiful reward that this process yields when you are able to understand it intellectually. And then when you go beyond your intellectual capacity, right? Which is in itself even the willingness to do that is difficult for most people, right? A lot of times, and I don't say this to be stereotypical in any way, but a lot of times it's difficult for us men because it's not germane to the way we're taught to think in this society, right? Our existence is sort of put in front of us in a very nuts and bolts fashion. And a lot of us become ingrained in thinking that way, which makes thinking outside of the box, so to speak, a little difficult at times. But it can be that way for anyone, male or female, any walk of life. It can be difficult to make the leap from understanding something intellectually and grasping it in some of the more subtle yet actually more profound ways, right? Like on a spiritual level, or on, I often like to say, a heart level, right? When you grasp something on a heart level, then you are now encompassing an awareness of it that is cognized, right? Which means that you grasp it on a feel level that is independent of and not dependent on physical forms of proof of its existence, right? So that means you understand something and grasp it in means that are not necessarily relative to the typical five senses that you're used to processing data with in physical terms, right? Which is, again, difficult for many, particularly in a society that is teaching us to, training us to feel less and less, right? Or the feelings that it promotes are low vibrational frequency feelings, right? This society, this fear state, is very adept in keeping human beings in a low vibrational frequency field, right? But that doesn't mean that the entire rest of that spectrum, the rest of those high vibrational frequency feelings, are not there and they're not present for you to access. It just takes work, right, in doing that. And I think a lot of us who have, matured at least to a certain point, understand that many things that are worthwhile take work, right? So there's a certain process you'll go through to need to understand this intellectually. Once you do that, you have a foundation to lean on as you start to grasp it on, I might say, even a higher level, a non-physical or non-corporeal level, right? A feel level, an energetic or spiritual level. Then you start to see more of who and what you are actually flower or expand in your own concept of yourself, right? A lot of us have the tendency of thinking about our persona when we take a moment to think, who am I, right? we get caught up in our persona, which is in effect who we are to other people. But that's not who you are, right? That's the intricate web of means in which you have faceted around yourself to relate to others. But that doesn't define or encompass who you are, right? And that introspective process causes you to break yourself down, right, to your most basic level. And you can actually not only understand, but begin to cognize and then feel what you are. So once you break down yourself at its most basic level or energetic level, you see and understand intellectually, of course, that you're essentially the same as everything else. Your energy, right? Just expressed in a different way. Well, similarly, there is the spiritual aspect of looking at it, in that now you can feel that you are the same as everything else, that you are just a different expression. And when you attain that, when you're able to grasp it intellectually and then elevate past that to where you can actually feel it or cognize it on a level, again, that does not require physical proof or evidence or affirmation, right? But when you feel it, and I can attest to it, folks, you do. You honestly, when you can appreciate existence on its most basic level, and then you start to observe the world from that lens of appreciating things on their most basic level, and you simultaneously are able to appreciate yourself at your most basic level, then you see and you feel the oneness with everything. You truly do. And it's a beautiful, peaceful space to be in, to exist in. To be able to wake up every single day with that in my mind and heart has been an incredible reward for me, manifested literally in that, again, I have not had a quote-unquote bad day in years. That's significant. That is very significant, right? Things always will happen, right? Doesn't mean that you have to change yourself in order to deal or cope with the world, right? Don't let the world change you. You change the world. So I say that to say quickly that as a reminder, you always have a choice on how you handle anything. Take it in, process it, you'll have your appropriate feelings. You're not going to be chipper and gleeful about something that's tragic, right? It's not what I'm saying. You process that tragedy properly, adequately, appropriately, and then you move on, right? Because what benefit is it of you to dwell in that place? How does it help you or anyone or anything? Really? Ask yourself, how is this actually helping me to dwell in a low vibrational frequency state? It's not, and it never will be. Because when you are in a lower vibrational frequency state, or you're feeling low, down, or depressed, you can never be your complete self. Your expression is compressed. Literally, your energetic expression is compressed. Right? So at that point, it's easy for you to feel alone. It's easy for you to feel by yourself. It's easy for you to feel separate, right? It's easy for you to truly not have that feel of oneness. And I understand that. But you can get out of that by understanding yourself better, by breaking yourself down to a basic level, by breaking down everything to its most basic level, to find that area of commonality that you share with all things, because you do. All things that exist share an energetic commonality. Now, when you take that and extrapolate it up to what we are as people, right? And when you look at the world and realize we all go through these things. We all suffer tragedies and loss. We all have good times that are very worth remembering. Let's do that, right? Let's not forget that. What it feels like to be in a high energetic place. But overall, you see that we all have an area of commonality in our experience. We all have a commonality in our existence. We all are one. Really. And when you really grasp that, both intellectually and beyond your intellectual capacity, then you're never alone. Literally, you are never alone. You could be sitting in a concert hall with not another person in the room, but you're not alone. You're never alone. Because on a very basic and common level, you are one with everything. And certainly have shared commonality and experience with someone. Right? You know, we can get into the wisdom of the elders when they start to talk to us about the fact that no matter what you're going through, there's somebody that's going through the same or something similar, and probably somebody going through worse. Right? But the flip side of that is, good things are still there. You can enjoy them. We can all enjoy them because we all have good things as well, right? And things can be good and can be better, and they will be better. Change is constant. Remember, only thing you can count on. So if whatever you're experiencing is down, negative, low vibrational frequency, or bad to you, it will change. You can count on that, right? So that power of perception that I talk about in a previous video is very important as well, because if you utilize that, you can look at things from a lot of different angles, right? They give you an increased ability to grasp it on both that intellectual level and beyond, right? Because you're looking at it and processing it from different angles or perspectives, which also aids you in dealing and coping with things. So you have the assurity that at least on the most basic level, you are one with everything and all people. You have shared experience, and you know that no matter what you're going through, even if it's a low vibrational frequency thing, that there are others who are going through that as well. And that's where I get back into us sharing our experiences, because then we can cope and lean on one another, right? And then you also have, perhaps most importantly, that assurity that it will change, which means it will get better, right? So with all those things in mind, you can then step back using perspective and say, well, wait a minute. Since I already know, I'm not the only one going through this. Other people are going through something similar that I can relate with. It will change because change is constant. Then maybe I should just take sovereignty, control, and ownership of how I process this situation. Maybe I should use the tool of perception, and rather than have a perception fed to me by the situation and its tragic nature or low vibrational frequency nature, or someone else or some other thing telling me how I should react to it. Maybe I should take ownership of it and say, wait a minute, I can process all this. I know what it is anyway, right? I know the cycle. I know it will change and get better. I've processed it. I accept it. Now I'm going to move on and get back to a high vibrational frequency state, because that's more productive and better for me, right? And that's a beautiful process, again, that you can benefit from immensely once you get to the point where you can even cognize that you're never alone, because you're one with all, right? When you get the reward of that spiritual journey that gets you to a place where you feel that oneness from the moment you wake up in the day, right? It sets you off. I'm telling you, it's done it for me at least, right? It sets you off, starts you off on your day from a point of null, right? A 0 point, or from a flat point, a point where, okay, nothing's bad, nothing's good. So why shouldn't I choose the best of the day, right? Your day's just starting. There's no story written yet. You haven't written it. Why not choose the most high vibrational frequency path for your day, for you? Right? You're waking up already feeling at one with nature, all of this beauty, right? Huh? All of this beauty. For me, that does it right there. My day's already made. From the moment I arise and I hear a bird chirping in the distance, how could I not say to myself, this is a beautiful day already? Because that bird is celebrating. And I'm one with that bird. I'm celebrating too. And I'm one with you all, so I'm celebrating with you. I just want you all to know that there's just, whether you describe it as the beauty of oneness, whatever you describe it as, there are immense, bountiful rewards